Hello and welcome back to the Linux Panic YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to be going over how to use Cubic, which is a ISO customizer, to make your own Ubuntu ISO installer. So, let's get into the video. Now, previously, I have made a video on this particular bit of software. And if you are a return viewer to the channel, you know that this is my second most popular video, and that I do get a lot of questions on it. So I thought it's time that I do an update video and just show off the method of adding things to the ISO and just answering some questions that I had on the videos. So let's get started. Now currently, if we just do a clear and then a neofetch, I am running Ubuntu Cinnamon 22.04.2 long-term support. This is the version that I am using, and we will be modifying a Ubuntu ISO that is slightly higher, but will still continue to work it regardless. So the first thing we need to do, we need to actually install or prepare our system for installing Cubic. So the first thing that we need to do is do sudo apt-add-repository. Universe. Once we've done that, we select yes. In my case, I already have the universe repositories added. We also need to add, after that, skipping as we can see here, it's already there. Acquisition configured file, that doesn't support the 32-bit architecture, even though it's already there. It is what it is. Once we've done that, we need to add the PPA for Cubic, which in this case is PPA Cubic wizard /release, and this will give us the ability to download the custom Ubuntu ISO creator, in this case Cubic. And as we've already got it, it's not going to do anything extra there. And of course, we will need to update the system, so sudo apt-update. Once we have done that, of course it's recommended that you update anyway. I've got packages I could upgrade, but I'm not going to because it's fine right now. And once we've done that, we just do sudo apt install recommends Cubic. Now, because I already have Cubic installed, we're not going to install it again. If anything, we are now done with the terminal window scenario. So, first thing we need to do is grab our ISO. In this case here, I'm using the latest version of Ubuntu. I stand corrected with the slightly upgraded version. Go back to neofetch 22.04.2. In this case, 22.04.2. So we want to search for Cubic. So in this case here, we have Cubic. This is what would show up after we've installed. Now this is going to ask for a directory for where we want to be working out of. So in my case, I'm just going to select this, go to desktop, Cubic, and in this case I'm just calling it video because that's where I would like this video to be made from. So select next, and this is going to say, hey look, where is the ISO you want me to edit? And in this case, again, it's desktop, Cubic, master ISO. It's right here in all of its 4.9 gigabytes glory. Now, this is the point where we can start making changes to the system. All of these boxes here on the right hand side that are actually filled in and look like text boxes compared to these. These are not text boxes, these are, so we can actually make some changes. So in this case, we're just going to call this Linux Panic OS, and the disk name will just be Linux Panic OS. And again, we can give it a version, so we'll just do, I don't know, 42069, because why not? Refresh the version. There we go, we've made a change, we've got actually things coming up. And what we want to do now, because It's just asking us what we want to do now is click next, and this is going to go through the process of analyzing the disk, doing all the changes, and then just extracting this into a usable system. So what this is doing is it is turning the ISO into a virtual environment, just like you do with proc, with the proc system, and then giving you the ability to make changes to it and add or remove things. Now in my case, what we're going to do first, we're going to update our system, so sudo apt-update, well, not sudo, because this is in a root environment. It is virtual environment for the ISO, and this will then give us the ability to upgrade the packages. Now that we've updated, we need to upgrade. Now this will make it so that all of this will be done, ready and waiting for once we launch the system for the first time. And as we can see, there are 716 megabytes worth of archives, resulting in an additional 771 megabytes worth of space. Gee, Canonical, okay, the developers of Ubuntu, you'd think you'd give us an ISO that was updated a bit more than what this is. Although I'm not Cubic, I'm not Canonical, I don't make these ISOs. You'd think they'd do this. You'd think they'd give out updated ISOs, but evidently not. What this will do is now just go through the process of upgrading the system. As we can see here, it's about done anyway. Well, it's just about done collecting. As we can see here, I can grab my mouse back. What this is saying is there was an issue dial Unix. So because we are in a virtual environment, this is saying I cannot communicate with this particular thing. But in this case, we are fine. It's just saying, hey, look, I can't do it, but it hasn't caused us to stop. We'll carry on. Now, all we have to do is wait for this to finish doing, and we will return. Sorry about that. And we will return once this has finished. Okay, now that we have gone through the process of upgrading our system, there are a few things I would like to install first. So I had a question asking me, is it possible to import our own tar files into the system? The answer is, yes it is, but, there's always a but you have to do it using wget. Now in this case, wget is installed, so if we do apt install wget, it is already installed. Now, if we do this and we'll just list our directories, so we want to do lsla. As we can see here, we have all of these, and what we want to do is we want to come into the user directory, so in this case cd user, and just list again. And what we have here is what we want to modify. So in this case, we are going to make a directory called lp, so make directory lp, cd into lp. Now what we want to install is we want to install git. As standard, git is not installed with any Ubuntu ISO, so we need to install that. So the first, again, it's just apt install git, apt install git. Select yes. So what we will do then is get the ability to download from GitHub. So in this case, we're going to download a .tar.gz file. Now, this was a recent question that was asked of me, so I would like to say thank you very much for the suggestion of, well, I didn't explain it, but I'm going to show you it now, Mr. Adam Fatigia. I've absolutely butchered your name, and I'm incredibly sorry. But this particular bit here is for you because you've asked about it. So I thought, hey, I'll also add it in. So again, now that we've installed Git, we want to do git clone https://github.com/nick-matthews-1/test. Now, what this has just done is this has just downloaded a repository that has a file called file.tar.gz. There is nothing in that file at all, as we can see here by the fact it says 0. There is absolutely nothing in that file because there doesn't need to be anything in the file. This is just a proof of concept. Yes, this is possible, but you must remember something. This is in the directory user lp test. Remember that when it comes time to adding in more things. Now, of course, we can always add more things in. So, for example, let's say we want to prepare our installation for making our desktop look like Windows XP, as I am known to do. So, again, we can just do git clone, https //github.com/Nick Matthews. If I could spell your name, -1/Linux XP. And what we've just got here, if we do cd again, we have everything we need. We have the zip files, we've got the desktop, we've got our install script, we have everything here that we would need straight from the get-go. Let's say, hey, look, you need it, let's get it done. Now, anything else we may want, I'd like to thank Mr. Paco. Again, I'm butchering your name and I am incredibly sorry. This part is also for you if you are watching this. Hello. Again, this is another question, so I thought I'll answer it as best as I can. Just these questions here these deserve this video because it's just easier to make one video with all of the questions. Oops, sorry. One video with all of the questions instead of all of the questions with their own separate video. So there's that. Now, this is the point where we now move on. Let's say we've done everything we want to do. We've got all the stuff in. Let's just get NeoFetch installed, apt install NeoFetch. As we can see here, it's unable to locate the package. That's fine. We'll just get that upon download, upon installation. We've got everything we want. Next we need to do is just select next, and this is going to go through the process of preparing the ISO and all of the changes we have just made ready for compressing down into our form using our compression format of choice. And this section here is just saying these are the packages that will be removed during the installation. So all listed packages are available in the live environment, but checkmarked packages will be removed during installation. So again, I'm not going to touch this because I don't need it. Everything here I want fine. I could say, hey, look, remove hostname, remove grep, just remove all of these, but I'm not going to because that would essentially kill it. That's not what we want. So I'm happy with what's here. We will just select next. And this is like, hey, look, select the kernel that will be used to bootstrap the customized disk. This could be used to prepare, preceding as well as booting. I'm not going to mess around with any of that, but this is just accessing the grub configuration as well as loopback as well. But this is what you would get upon your booting up of the system. Just like, hey, look, what do you want to do? These are your options, but you can change them here if you want. But in my case, it's just using this version of the kernel, and we're all safe to carry on and do the things. Now, this is for the compression, how long it could take. We could say, okay, let's just do it with LZ4. It'll be done quicker, but it'll be a larger file, which again, for me, it's fine. So once we've select generate, this will now generate the ISO that we have just edited. Or this will generate the system that we've just edited into an ISO that we can now use for the creation of our custom operating system. Now, where we put all the files we just changed is it is in user lp, and then for the test directory with the file.tar.gz, it is test. For the Ubuntu XP, that is in for the Linux XP file stuff, it is in the Linux XP file in the user directory. So what we're looking for here is once this is finished calculating the checksum and going through the process of then making this available for us. As we can see here, we have custom disk name, That's the name. We've got the checksum, and everything is okay in the release version in Linux Panic OS. So, what we want to do is we could test it here. We could test it right here, right now, and get it to show up. But I am instead going to test it using Virt Manager, so we can then go through and install it. Because whilst this here also boots up a QEMU environment, we can't install. So we want to install using our own system. So first things first, we want Virt Manager, and we want to say hello. I would like a new operating system, and I would like to add a new environment. So desktop, Cubic. We want video, and we want this one here. That is 6.2 gigabytes. Select open. This is going to struggle to find what we want, and so in this case, just Ubuntu. Look forward, and we will give this 8 gigabytes of RAM and 4 cores, and we will give this 30 gigabytes worth of space. Again, forward. Again, we don't need to change that. That's fine because we've got one virtual machine. We don't need to worry. And if we remember previously, these were the options that we got to test and change. So we're just going to try/install the system. Now we will go with the try the system first, just so we can see that everything is there. Because bearing in mind, we can see it's there, but is it actually going to be there after the installation? And that is the big question. Now, I already know the answer to this, but do you know the answer to that? And this is the point where we try and find if it's going to work or not. So we've got the install here. We click try Ubuntu, and then this will give us the look live environment. You can hear these noises. I can't because I don't currently have my speakers or my earphones plugged in. So you can't hear the boot up sounds. I hope it's not too loud. But here we are. There is one thing we need to remember. It is in computer, user, and as we can see here, there's a directory with all of the stuff we've just put in from the cloning from GitHub. Now, as we can see here, here's the test file. Again, as I said, nothing in it, which is what we wanted. And saying, hey, look, this is 0 bytes worth of space, which is, again, exactly what we saw earlier. So what we'll now do is we will actually install the operating system. Now, the thing we need to remember is we're actually going to save all the stuff where we want it to after the installation of the operating system, because in some cases it might not. But this is the point when we find out. Because we've already installed all the updates, we're not going to download them because we don't need them. What we're going to do is just select continue, erase the disk, and do full install on the virtual machine. Once we've done that, we select continue. Yes, the time zone is London, and we're just going to give this a quick name. In this case, it's just going to be hi, 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 and hi. This virtual machine will be removed once I'm done, so no need to worry about it. Now this is going to do the usual install, comes to installing Ubuntu. It's like, hey, look, going through the process. And we can try and find some more information about the system. So in this case, we can come down to the settings and scroll right down to about. And this is what we have. This is saying, hey, look, this is Cubic. We have just made this using Cubic, so it means it has worked, and it even shows date and time. Hey, look, this was made using the Cubic software on the 28th of April at 4 in the morning. But it shows you when you made it. So if you do look at it, you can then try and figure out if you are using a newer ISO or an older ISO. It's just when Mr. PJ Singh made this bit of software, he included that in the ISO when you finish with it, and I like that because it makes life easier when it comes to version control, which we all like, which is why we all like GitHub for, because it's remote version controlling. So Now, all we have to do is just wait for the operating system to finish installing, and we will return. Operating system has finished. Now that we have finished with the installation of the operating system, we are going to restart. And then from here, we're going to go through the process of saying, hey, look, we remove the media. Just say yes, remove the media, no need to worry. Once again, full screen the operating system. And this comes down to the point of, is everything still here like we wanted it to be? And we'll find out once this is finished with the rebooting from the installation. Now, this is just Ubuntu being Ubuntu and taking its time, which is, again, no surprise. But here we are. And yeah, we get the initial, hey, look, connect your accounts. No. Skip. No, we don't want Ubuntu Pro. No, we're not going to send information to Canonical. No, we don't want privacy services, and we're done. We all know, Canonical, you're trying to rip data from us. Anyway, so the first thing we want to do apt-install, or sudo apt-install neofetch. And in this case, yes, we'd like to install it. It's just going to go through the process of doing the normal neofetch stuff. Again, that's fine. Neofetch. Now, as we can see here, if we do neofetch, again, this is still the same one as before. Everything is still here. And if we come to our files, other locations, computer, user, and oh look, it is still here. Everything we have done is still here. So we could then make a system, or we can make our own ISO, saying, hey, look, I want an Ubuntu ISO that has all my files that I want from install in a particular file, ready and waiting to go. And it is possible. We have everything here that we want. We can even have a look at this, but that's fine because this file was always going to cause issues anyway because of how small it is. But as we can see here, we have our file that has nothing in it, which is again expected, and it is all working. So to answer the questions, or the various questions that I've had, yes, it is possible to include a tar file in the ISO. Yes, it is possible to get the themes in the right place and ready. So I'd like to thank you very much for watching. If you are not already subscribed, maybe consider clicking the subscribe button and giving the like button a click. If you dislike it, also hit the dislike button. You may only be able to see 50% of the buttons, but I can see 100% of them. Anyway, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I have been Nick, you have been amazing, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.